What's going on, everyone? So, Fromville loves to have these like invisible things, right? Obviously, Boyd, he ended up having the worms that no one else could see until eventually they could. But at the time, no one believed Boyd. Everyone thought Boyd was just losing his mind, hallucinating, right? That this place was just getting to him, that his medical condition was getting to him, and that hey, look, there's nothing there, dude. And now you're seeing a very similar path with Fatima, right? Fatima believes she was pregnant, all the signs of pregnancy, and she goes and gets an ultrasound, and lo and behold, no pregnancy. She was not pregnant. And the characters say themselves, right? Like, hey, it's very possible that maybe we can't see it, right? That it's an invisible baby, that it is something similar to Boyd and his worms. And, I don't know how to fix it, right? Like Christy and Boyd are arguing and they're going back and forth. And Christy's like, either she's losing her mind and she's losing her marbles and, she's going down a dark path herself, or she is telling the truth and it's a baby. And Fatima seems very adamant that there is a baby or something inside of her that is growing and feeding and whatnot. Now, of course, the easy answer is she's just losing her mind and crazy. And of course, she doesn't want to accept that it's her that is actually going through the transformation and not this magical baby, right? Like, it's easy to understand everyone else's point of view, right? Like, Fatima said herself, it's either she's pregnant and there really is something growing inside of her, or she is the one that's becoming evil. She is the one that is transforming. She is the one that is turning. And no one would want to think that. I mean, put yourself in her shoes. You're praying that it's an invisible baby like the worms and not you turning into a monster, right? That it is something along those lines. And I can genuinely see something like that. I don't think that was just a throwaway line. I really don't. Right? And it doesn't necessarily fit the patterns that we see from. Right? There's usually some like throwaway line or inclination that when you look back you go, "Oh, okay. Yeah, we knew this. We saw this coming." Right? They relayed that in one form or another. And they've built up a pregnancy for so long. Right? Like, you're talking the back end of last season and now throughout this season, and then all of a sudden it's not a baby, it's her. Now, I could still see her transforming. I could still see her going through a metamorphosis. And we've, throughout this entire time, talked about the likelihood and possibility of her going through, that it's her and not the baby, that it really is, and we were waiting for kind of the other shoe to drop, the confirmation. And it appears that we have that confirmation. But is it, or is there a twist, right? It would make sense that you have this dynamic of Ellis and Fatima, and that they end up producing this like Damien-like baby, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, this is still a horror show, right? Like, they've, as much as people don't want the horror trope, there's still horror tropes, there's still certain things, and I just feel like that would be the horror trope. And we haven't really talked about the baby side of it. Usually when I'm doing the theories and stuff like that, it's mostly been her transforming, her turning and changing, right? And so, the other side of that is it's not really her, it is a baby or something, right? That something is inside of her. Now, is it possible that maybe it's not a baby in the sense like how we interpret it, right? Like, it is a, like a parasite or something, right? Like, Boyd had worms inside of him. What if what's happening to Fatima is like a tapeworm or something, or it's like, it's something. The point is that I do think that the likelihood of it actually, if there's something inside of her, very likely, right? Now, it's very possible that it's not a baby. It's very possible that it's not like, a goo goo gaga baby, but I do think that it does seem like something is inside of her. Now, could that something be changing her personally? Right? Like, could there be this, like, tapeworm or something? Because you also got to keep in mind, Boyd did the blood transfusion and all that stuff. And, Ellis, and she thought the pregnancy, or we thought she was pregnant after, but what if she wasn't? Right? Like, what if it was through skin contact? Right? Like, there's ways that you can kind of make it make sense if you wanted to, right? Like, while Boyd had the worms, he, touched Ellis, and then Ellis, touching Fatima, or, whatever, right? Like, I think that there is a path, or it could just simply be that Fatima just got her own thing, right? Through this place's hell, essentially, right? Like, so I do think that. Now, even if she is pregnant, even if she is, or even if it's not like a baby, like I said, like maybe a parasitic worm or something like that, tapeworm, something like that, I still really think she is going to be the Smiley replacement. Right? It's something I've talked, like, as the moment that we found out Fatima was pregnant, what did I say? I was like, oh, I think she's going to replace Smiley. Because, again, like, the patterns, right? It's why I think that there really is something in Fatima, because the show has these continuous patterns, and we've seen when people die, new people replace, right? Like, entire colony house gets attacked, an entire bus shows up, right? Nikki and Dale die, right? Boom, here's Officer Acosta and Henry, right? Like, Tian dies, and it brings food. She's the cook, right? Like, it doesn't get any more obvious than that she was the sacrifice for the food, right? So, like, death happens to the good guys, and good things happen, right? Well, what happens when you kill one of the monsters, right? Like, wouldn't it want to replace it, just like this place does with the people? Okay, well, who do you replace them with? Well, this entire place wants to break Boyd, right? It's all about breaking Boyd. Okay, well, if you turn Boyd, you're not breaking him. If you turn Ellis, right, like, we've already seen him take out his wife. Very possible he takes out his kid. And even if he doesn't, right, like, would it break him, or would it motivate him even more? As we saw after his wife died, right? Okay, well, then how do you break him? Well, if you turn Fatima, and then now Fatima either is a monster or dies, now either way, Ellis is impacted, and Ellis is broken, and Ellis is distraught, and now Boyd has to deal with that. There's different levels to being broken. Being broken doesn't necessarily mean, he's ready to, call it quits, right? Like, it's even him just being fully invested and distracted and away from his mission, away from his goal. So I do think Fatima is directly tied to the Smiley monster. It's one of the few things that I've maintained and, like, won't get off of, right? Because it's just, I do, like, it's just, it follows the pattern perfectly. It follows everything we've seen the last 3 seasons, that, okay, monster die, monster gets replaced. And so it would make sense that Fatima is that replacement for the monster. But nonetheless, like, I genuinely believe we're going to see and find out sooner rather than later that Fatima, because, I mean, again, we only have 3 episodes left. So my guess is that maybe even as soon as the next episode, maybe at the end, I could see them kind of like leaving it on a cliffhanger type thing. But I really do think we're going to find out Fatima, one way or another, is either transforming herself or has something inside of her. And I think it's either a baby or it's some type of, like worm or, some type of parasite. Something is latched onto her, right? Something is starting to change her and causing this hunger and cravings. I definitely think we're going to get some more ramped up. Again, I don't know. I'm not one of the people that I haven't read the leaks. I don't know about the leaks. I haven't watched the season or anything. I don't know. This is just my genuine guesses. I can see us getting a ramped up Fatima where she starts like the hunger gets more and like, she starts to, I could see maybe next episode is a little more focused on that, right? Like maybe she starts picking at Tilly and eats Tilly a little bit. And, you start really seeing the ramp up of her change. And then maybe we get the aftermath. But I don't, Fatima could, like this story arc might not end until the end of this season. May even bleed into next season. Who knows? But I think it'll end up, because I think the final episode is going to be based on setting up next season. So if Fatima isn't going into next season through this transformation, then I think it ends either next episode or episode 9. Get what I'm saying? And then episode 10 will be the ramp up, build up that will set us up for next season. Does that make sense? But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Kind of mixed in the middle? Do you think, Fatima is clearly changing? Something's going on with Fatima. Do you think it's the baby? Do you think it's her herself? Do you think it's, some type of parasite or worm or something like that? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it. Either way, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you want to like this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.